Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Today we've got some news stories in the world of tech and gaming. First up, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA RTX on versus off comparison trailers because I noticed something last night on the new Loopmancer trailer that I've never seen before, although it's actually been in there in all of these trailers all along. So it's kind of interesting, and I'm curious to get your guys' feedback on whether or not you've noticed this as well. Also, Lord of the Rings, Gollum and Steel Rising got some new trailers where those will be featuring ray tracing. Also, PS5 got a new system update, which adds in a important feature, or kind of important if you've been having any issues with certain TVs and things like that. And also, Diablo Immortal is raking in $1.6 million every single day on average, despite all of the backlash from the microtransactions. So let's get into it. But first, today's video is brought to you by SuperCDK.com, where you could save money on games for all of your favorite platforms, as well as software like Windows 10 Pro licenses for just $22, and then you can unlock the prestigious Dark Mode for Windows 10, which I honestly could not live without. It is blinding without the dark mode. You guys need it in your life. And now you can also save an additional 25% off at checkout by clicking Buy Now on any software products over there. Just go ahead and add it into your cart and put in my code JP25 at checkout and apply, and that'll bring our price from $22.44 all the way down to $16.83, a savings of over $5. And I'll walk you through how to get your key and install it on Windows 10. Go ahead and click Submit Order and complete your checkout from there. For me, that's going to be with PayPal, and then click on Pay Now. After completing the checkout, it'll bring you to your purchased order page, and it will update in a matter of seconds, or just go ahead and hit F5. Go ahead and do that one time. It came through literally immediately. I got the payment email that it had gone through and the delivery of the product exactly at the same time. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click on View Keys and Codes, and we'll get our code right here that we can go ahead and copy and paste in on Windows 10 by hitting the Start button and type in the word Activate. When you see that activation settings or see if Windows is activated, go ahead and click on that, and it'll bring up this right here, and click on Change Your Product Key or Unlock Windows 10. As I already have Windows 10, I obviously don't need to put in a new key, but just paste it in and then go ahead and click Next, and you are all done and set. For more information on SuperCDK.com as well as the coupon code, be sure to check out the links down in the description below. First up, I want to talk to you about NVIDIA RTX trailers, or like whenever these new games come out, usually they'll do a trailer side by side showing you the performance RTX on versus off, and it's really meant to show you the performance uplift of DLSS. That's really what they're primarily highlighting here. Sometimes it is ray tracing stuff, and they're just trying to show you how great the visuals are with ray tracing on versus off. But more so, I'm talking about the recent trend where they showed DLSS off versus on and the performance uplift, because I noticed something in the new Loopmancer trailer that I have never noticed before, and I'm curious if you guys have, because I kind of found it misleading. So if you look here on the Loopmancer trailer, you'll notice that in the bottom left it says RTX off, and on the right side it says RTX on. We've seen this before. Which would denote to me that ray tracing was on versus off, which is actually not the case, because if you look in the top right, it actually just says RT is on for both of these. So it has ray tracing on in both comparisons. The only thing different is that DLSS is off on one side versus on the other, and it's getting an incredible performance uplift. No issues there with DLSS. I think it's a great technology. It works awesome, especially in games that really need it with ray tracing. But what I found misleading was the fact that it says RTX off in that left side and RTX on in the other, because clearly they're using in a way here which is only really talking about DLSS, because both of them have ray tracing on, which would not necessarily be RTX off, because RTX is ray tracing and DLSS. They're both kind of fall under the same banner. So it's a marketing thing, RTX. The naming of RTX is a marketing term, obviously. But let me know what you guys think, because I felt like I felt kind of duped. Like, oh my god, this game is running really bad, even with ray tracing off. Like, no, RT was on in both of them, and this is not the first time it's happened. Also, in this Hitman trailer, Hitman 3 trailer from back in May, same case here. Getting significantly better performance, RTX on versus off, but it denotes RT is on for both sides of it. So just curious to get your guys' feedback on that. Is it something I've never really noticed or thought about? But it just seems a little kind of maybe misleading. Not too sure. Just curious to get your guys' feedback. Next up, Lord of the Rings Gollum, which is a game I had been looking forward to. I love Lord of the Rings, and Gollum is one of my favorite characters from the Lord of the Rings universe. And the portrayal of Gollum by Andy Serkis as the voice actor and motion capture actor for Gollum in the films was fantastic. Sadly, he's not reprising his role in the game. The voice actor seems to be doing an okay job, but if I was going to tell you the truth, I could do Gollum's voice better than the guy that they hired for this game, so maybe they should have gave me a call. So they got a new trailer for ray tracing in that, so it's going to be featuring ray tracing in the Gollum game, as well as Steel Rising. And the feedback also on Gollum has not been stellar. I was looking on YouTube earlier, and it had 2.1 thousand dislikes. Whew. So it's I'm not too sure how forward I'm looking to it anymore, because watching the gameplay, it looked a bit like a kind of like a middling, indie game, honestly. It didn't really look to have the full budget of a typical AAA Lord of the Rings title. So I'm not really too sure how I feel about Gollum right now, but it says, at least for ray tracing, it says it will enhance the reflections and the shadows. And Steel Rising, as I said, also got a new gameplay trailer yesterday, and that one will have just ray traced reflections. And both will also support DLSS. So that's nice to hear that it'll have both of those technologies. I really do hope that the Gollum game does come out and is actually a good title. Like I said, I love Lord of the Rings, the whole universe, the lore, all of that stuff. So I hope that I don't mind that it's a stealth game and it's not like a real action-oriented game like the Shadow of Mordor games. But like I said, it could be good, but the trailer didn't look great, and the likes versus dislikes pretty much, put that into perspective there. 463,000 likes, 2.1 thousand dislikes for the Gollum gameplay review. I guess, this is really the first time we've seen gameplay of Gollum. So there's that, and I believe that is coming out very soon. I believe, September 1st. So we don't have that much longer to go. This is essentially what the game will look like when it comes out, and I guess people aren't that excited about it anymore after the gameplay. Next up, I wanted to quickly talk about the new PlayStation 5 feature update that rolled out yesterday. I downloaded this not really knowing what it did, but if you do play on PlayStation 5 and you use sort of like a modern TV, like an LG TV, they have things built into them to support low latency modes. However, there was an issue with the PS5, and specifically that I'm aware of, at least with LG TVs, where once they added in the low latency mode, it would automatically kick on, and there was really no way to disable it unless you went into your TV's settings and could turn it off, but only certain LG models had that ability in there, and it would turn on by default, and it was creating issues for some people, or at least just not letting them turn it off if they wanted to. But now this new system software update, according to the patch notes, notes that if you're using a TV that supports auto low latency mode, you can adjust the settings now on the PlayStation, whereas before it was just automatic. It was just automatically on, but now you can select off, which will disable it except during variable refresh rate output on certain titles. And it was also an update to improve system performance, which is something they note in pretty much every patch, but it's a fairly vague reference. So as someone that plays PS5 on an LG television, I'm glad that they added in this update. So just something quickly worth noting. Last up, before we get out of here and go into the weekend, Diablo Immortal is reportedly raking in roughly $1.6 million per day on average, despite all of the massive backlash that this game has gotten since launch and is continuing to get for its microtransactions, even though some players have reported to hit, max level, beat the end game, final boss, all that stuff without spending a dollar. Some of that stuff is misleading, because for some of those dungeons, you need to be in groups of people, and there's no way they were doing it without anyone paying. Maybe the one person didn't pay, but other people were definitely paying to get that endgame gear in order to be able to get through these dungeons. Otherwise, it would be extremely difficult to nearly impossible to get through some of the endgame bosses without anyone in your entire party spending money on Diablo Immortal. Maybe one or two guys can get away with it, but somewhere someone's going to be paying some money to be playing this game. So they're continuing to make money, and I'm not really surprised. This is what happens, especially with mobile games. There's also no way of knowing that too, right? You know, if there's a very good chance that only a very small portion of this is coming from PC gamers, and maybe the significant amount of it is coming from mobile players and people just playing on their phones, which I think would make more sense. But this is all just being bundled together, so it's not really just one platform or another. Although, and I doubt we'll ever see those figures, but I would love to see a breakdown of where the income is coming from between iOS, Android, and PC. And maybe they'll even do a free-to-play version, or obviously it's going to be free-to-play, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if this showed up on PlayStation or Xbox in the very near future. And I don't even know if it's on Switch, but I'm sure it could definitely be on there as well. As they made it for mobile, it will certainly be able to be played on Switch and probably get a decent performance on there. So, not surprised at all that they're pulling in $1.6 million per day. And I also don't even know if that's a lot. Like, is that a lot? Or is that below their expectations? To me, it kind of sounds like a lot, but it also wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't that much in the grand scale of things compared to what maybe other mobile titles are bringing in microtransactions, even ones that aren't as dubious as the ones on show in Diablo Immortal. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on all the topics we covered here, and hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you next time for another video. Ciao.